think we got everything up and running here. I did see that a few of you were actually already in waiting for the video to start before it started. So if you want to just jump into the chat, let us know you're here. Let's see who's there. Say hi. Then I know that everything is working as it should. Because, you know, all the years that I've been doing this, I still always worry that the start of these don't go the way they're supposed to. And then the days that I'm expecting them to just be as they are and work and I do my best and just kind of not fiddle with things, that's when they don't work. Grimy Fishing, good to see you there. How's it going? How's the fishing been? I've got a few things to go over today. I kind of knew I was doing this live stream. I knew I was going to be bringing kind of some gear and some stuff to go over. But I never really made my list. I was making other lists today. It was a list heavy day, and I didn't make kind of like my breakdown list of what my discussion would be for the live like I normally do. Nathan, good to see you there. Oh, Doctor Who has moved over to Disney Plus now, so now I get to watch the new season. I'm super stoked about that, even though it has nothing to do with fishing. Panfish have been eating. I want to go out and see what mood the pike and walleye are in, but I'm lazy. Yeah, it's depending on where you are. I guess some places pike and walleye open up this weekend, next weekend. Weekend after, I think, depending on what zone you're in. You know, some places it's open all year. I was actually thinking about pike and walleye this morning myself. Zone 16 open today. Okay, and zone 17, it's open all year for pike and walleye, I believe. What's in the aqua bag behind you? Oh, this? Actually, I've had that aqua bag for a few years now. It used to be home to my 9-foot 2.5 or 2 3/4 Daiwa EXT rods. They have moved into the proper Daiwa Infinity bag that those EXT rods go into. In this bag now, because I wasn't sure if I was going to keep it because I didn't have rods to go into it. Now I do. In here are the Daiwa Black Widow EXT 10-foot 3.5 test curves. I've had them out once already, and I was quite pleased with them. I have some interesting comments to say about these versus the Daiwa 3.5 test curve XT 13-footers that, you know, all of you helped me get last year or the year before. I think it's 2 years now. I was surprised with the behavior of those 13-footers when I got them compared to the 12-foot versions because they did change from the Daiwa G50s, the Black Widow G50s, 3.5, when the G50s kind of just didn't exist anymore and it went to Black Widow XTs. The rigidity and the playing action, not the same. Not the same at all. Amazing battle curve on the XTs, but they lack the rigidity and the recovery for those really long casts. I actually feel like the 13s didn't really improve my cast very much. A little bit, but not much. Now, using the 9-foot light action EXTs, the Black Widow EXTs, so the ones that you kind of telescope out of the butt, and then you add the top section on, so they have that smaller pack down size. I absolutely love those EXT rods, and I love them so much for, you know, my light action stuff, and even landing fish up to 28 pounds on them. If you look back to the video when I did right at the start of the year, so the last day of the year, last day of 2023 and the first day of 2024, I had those rods out for the first part of that session, and I had a 28 pounder on the 2 3/4 test curves. It was amazing. It was awesome. But using my 3-pound Witchwood extricator rods, I've had some killer fish with those. But last October, when it really blew apart that reel, it really helped me understand that I was undergunned for some of the fish that I've been chasing with those 3-pound rods. Even though they've done amazing, they're lacking in a little bit of that toughness. And I wanted to make sure that I kept in that 10-foot range, but just beefed it up a little bit. And actually, you know what? We're talking about them. They're right here. We'll just get them out. Is that okay? Adam Constantini, good to see you. Hope all is well. We haven't seen you in the chat for quite a while. Good to have you back there. All right, let's see here. So I have had these out once so far. I have some Shimano bait runners that we're going to go on these rods, but I only have the 2 of them. I haven't got the 3rd yet. So all I did for use on these for the time being is I took the Daiwa Emblem S reels that I have and off the 12-footers, put them on these. Okay, I got stuff everywhere. It's a tiny little corner that I've moved myself into here. So yeah, you can see I've got there's a silt bust on there. I love these reels, by the way. That's all twisted up here. Of course it is. So yeah, very small pack down size. Like you can almost see the whole top section right there in frame as close as I am to the camera. Just let some line out on this here. I'm just tangled right up. Of course I am. Why make this easy, right? And then yeah, just this pushes out and knocks everything onto the floor. Yeah, this has the rigidity that I wanted out of the 13-foot XTs. The shrink wrap is nice. I do prefer cork, but the shrink wrap is nice. I will say this though, the shrink wrap is a little bit smaller because of the smaller butt section. For most of my reels, I use the Nash butt locks, like the big locking mechanism ones, and I use the large for my 13s, my 12s, any of my cork handled rods, and they're perfect. For the EXTs in the 9-foot and the 10-foot, those large butt locks are not enough. It's too undergunned, and I have tangled this up already. I see you guys in the chat. I'll get caught up in a second. I promise. So yeah, if you want to use the butt locks, the Nash butt locks for these rods, which I recommend because they are amazing butt locks. I've never had a rod pull out of them. Get the small size. Otherwise, make sure you get some like tight fitting rubber ones, like the Monster Carp tackle butt rests are good. Signet, while Signet was around, had some really nice tight ones that will fit these butts and they won't come out. So yeah, it's very sleek, very rigid. Like the tip section is quite stiff. The good thing with that is that I was getting some really good casts with very minimal effort when I had these out. So I could get a pretty good distance in a very tight overhanging space. Worked out great. I did manage one fish with them on the one outing that I took them out, but the fish was only like 2.5, 3 pounds. So I really couldn't put it to the test as far as playing the fish so far. But given what's coming up next week, these rods are what's going to be the most exciting part. Okay, let me get caught back up in the chat, everyone. Tyler 420, good to see you, Tyler. Nathan, yeah, I have mismatched reels too. I don't have a set of 3, just multiple pairs. Yeah, I'm kind of a stickler. I like to have like 3 and 3 and 3, but I only ever intended on buying 2 of these to go with the 2 reels that I have, the Shimano's. The only reason I think I went with the 3 is because to get these at Carp Kit was like the price was just too good to ignore. So you can't turn down a deal, right? We, all of us who are Carp Society members, Canadian Carp Society members, we get a discount from Carp Kit. You factor that into a rod that already has a really good price point for budget anglers. And I've been using the Black Widow rods for a long time now. They're budget kind of lower end rods, but to me, they're amazing. Absolutely amazing. I've never broken one other than the ceramic coming out of the tip of that one when my whole bivvy flew off of me taking the rod with it. That extreme situation was the only damage to any of my Black Widow rods that I've had. So, yeah, I couldn't say no, and I grabbed the 3rd anyways. Most likely what will happen is these reels will go back on the 12s. The Shimano reels will go on to 2 of these, and then the 3rd one will just kind of be as a backup when I need it. Let's see, Adam Constantine. I've been watching when I can, hopefully making it out. May long weekend. Rejoined CCS as well. Excited to get lines back in the water. Yes, I did see you, Dave, and Andrew, I think. Seeing you guys all back on the CCS platform is fantastic. Great to see you guys there and have you back. Mr. Penderbury, be in and out, have to bait and go to dance competition to get the happiest place on earth. That, folks, is top quality sarcasm there. What he's referring to is going to bait the spot, and Dave is having a good run right now, right at this moment. He's had a couple of really good fish. His daughter's got a dance competition, and then the sarcasm kicks in with the happiest place on earth, meaning that he has to go to work today, which sucks. Dave, don't forget to record your dance moves for us. Tyler, if you ask for Dave's dance moves, he's going to send you dance moves. Just be ready for that and remember that you asked for it. Nathan, I just got the Nash butt grips, pricey but necessary for the trip to secure the rods. Absolutely. I bought my first set of started out as singles because could only use one rod back then, but I think I got the first Nash butt lock that I had in 2017. And now I have two sets of them, one for my small pod, one set for the small pod, one set for the big pod. I've never had anything get pulled out of them. I have literally had the pods get pulled with the rods because the butt locks won't let go. And there are different angles you can adjust your pod with where your line goes into the water that actually make it even more secure. As far as I understand, they have made some improvements in the last couple of years to those butt locks where they actually have a strap that go over them for people that are fishing in like mainland Europe for those monster like 70-pound fish and stuff for big rivers and whatnot. I think that might be a bit overkill for what we have here, but absolutely incredible butt locks. I have what I need as far as butt locks to just accommodate these rods for the adventure next week. But I will be ordering the smaller butt locks to fit into the to accommodate these ones and my other 9-foot EXT rods. Tyler 420 Nash buck grips, one of the best things I've bought for carp fishing. Absolutely. LP, I don't know what you're trying to say there. So for those of you who are here, you can see the chat going on. You can see that Nathan just actually asked LP about his newest rods. Not going to lie, I'm a little bit curious myself. So hopefully you could throw a few details in the chat for everyone. LP got himself a pair or a whole set of the new Korda Kaizen rods. I think we all want to know, what the casting playing action is on those rods. There's a lot of us that are curious. Korda just releasing, they've had the platinums out for a while. They've just released the new Kaizen greens. I looked at the Kaizen greens online, actually before I got these. And what's interesting is when you look at the Kaizen platinums, Simon's got them at Carp Kit. They're just over $700 per rod. They're supposed to be top of the line, top shelf, every bit of bang for your buck on those rods. So they're priced accordingly, apparently. But then they come out with the greens, which are supposed to be that kind of step down. And I priced out the greens from some of the UK sites that have them because they're so new. And they were going to come out to only about $202 a rod, which is not bad. I'm a budget rod guy, so I don't even like spending $100 on a rod, especially when you have to buy 3. But, overall, 200 bucks for, brand new Kaizen greens, that didn't seem too far out of the realm of plausible to acquire. So I will be keeping my eye on the Kaizens. As time goes on, we hear what people think of them, stuff like that. I don't need any more rods. I have more than enough rods for multiple people to fish with. But I am curious about them. They seem like a pretty interesting piece of kit. Let's see what he says here. They play fish like a charm. The tips recover so quickly without wobble left and right. It's up and down and come back straight. Cast 100 yards with a flick of a wrist. That's not a fair statement for you, LP. Your wrist is 7.5 feet away from your body with your big lanky arms. So when you got that much of a pendulum with brand new stiff rods that are made for casting, yeah, it makes sense that you can cast 100 yards with a flick of a wrist. Yeah, interesting. Dave Newman, good to see you there. So yeah, so far, we talked about these because Nathan had to bring them up. Obviously, I'm excited to use these next week, and I keep saying next week and the adventure next week. And what's actually happening is on Thursday. Oh, I just shook the whole table. So I have to work the start of the week. And then on Thursday morning, I am leaving to venture up to the island, where I will be meeting up with Mr. Nathan Cutler, who is in the chat right now. And we will proceed to spend the next 5 days fishing our butts off on a new water, most likely with some new tactics. Potentially we could be dropping rigs and playing fish by a boat, which I've not done in carp fishing. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting. So I've got a few pieces of kit kind of specifically for this trip. I just yesterday, I got my most recent order from Carp Kit. I was going to save it for an unboxing, and I really should have. But I'm kind of trying to get ahead of the game and get all my stuff organized. So over the past week, or just over a week now, I've actually been dumping all my gear out on a 6-foot table in my basement here. And I actually found that after I went through the first bag of just taking the cases out, there was this ball of rigs and knotted, nasty mess of crap together and it took me a day and a half. I worked during the day. It took me 2 evenings, pretty much 2 full evenings, to rip all that apart and then start on the second bag. And when I got through both bags, I realized that every time I go through my cases and see what's missing, I just reorder what I need because I'm down so much. When in fact, all that stuff has just been making it to the bottom of the bags in these piles and knots and crap. So I had already placed this order thinking, okay, I'm down on these hooks. I'm down on these leads. I need some shock leaders, stuff like that. Put in this big order through Carp Kit because he's our dealer. You know, can't ever get enough of your fix. You got to go to the dealer. And it arrived yesterday. And it turns out that having gone through all my tackle through just 2 of my rucksacks, I still have 2 more kind of loose bags to go through that have more stuff. Everything I bought in that box that arrived yesterday, I did not need. I literally have it. I had more than enough equipment already to satisfy this trip and the first part of my season this year. And everything that I had come in yesterday that I thought I was down on is actually like beyond surplus. So I am definitely good on tackle for a while. Let's see here. Dave Newman is 3 for 5 so far today. That's good stuff. Nathan, first multi-day trip for me in 2 years. Hope we catch 1 or 2. Yes, hope we do catch 1 or 2. I hope that you catch all of the mirrors. We really, all of us, send good vibes to Nathan. We all want Nathan to catch a mirror. He has never caught a mirror. And where we are going, supposedly, you know, when people put in a 4 or 5 day trip, supposedly they tend to see 1 or 2 mirrors. So we have a good chance. I hope all the mirrors go to Nathan. If you play fish on a boat, don't forget to have a life jacket. Absolutely. I'm accident prone. I get myself into trouble all the time. There's no way I'm going on a boat like that in that kind of situation without a life jacket on. It's literally just over there. Adam Constantini's got a question here. Let's take a look. Here's a question for you. Will you still always run 3 rods even if you're catching a lot? I've had a couple of good sessions where I caught double-digit fish but simply couldn't keep up. Okay, so you know what? I'm going to skip any ads that are popping up. We don't need to deal with that today. It's a great question. It's a question that I do get asked quite a bit from a lot of different people because they see you using 3 rods on the bank and they wonder, okay, how do you handle that? So, you know, legally in Ontario, zones 12, is it 12 to 20 or something like that? We're allowed to use 3 rods fishing for carp as long as we follow those specific bait rules that they have in place. It at that point, it comes down to being ethical and knowing what your limits are. If I'm having a really good session and it's getting to the point where it's hard to keep all 3 rods in, pull a rod. Just if you had 2 fish, you've had a good day. You're not blanking. You've had a couple of fish. You're good. If you start to get a ton of bites, like you are on fire with your spot, your baiting's been on point, your rigs are doing the job, and you're catching a lot of fish, and you've got all 3 rods out, but it's hard to keep one out or hard to keep all 3 out. You know, like the next rod's ripping off before you can get the cast back in. Pull a rod. You don't need to be running 3 at that point. I've had to do that many, many times. And you can take that a step further. You get down to 2 rods, becomes a little bit more manageable. What happens when you get a double run? There have been times when, to keep my fish from tangling with each other, I have played 2 rods at once. You know, tucking one at my legs, cranking the reel, cranking the other one, shuffling back and forth, seeing which fish is smaller or more likely to give up quick, and either get it in the net as fast as possible or kind of just let it sit where I know it's going to be safe and not going into any snags, loosen the drag, play the bigger fish in, or the fish that's a little bit more rambunctious, to make sure you don't lose that special one, right? Prime example would be start of October or last year during the Canadian Carp Society Fall SSF. I was fishing over here on the Niagara River in one of my spots, and I had a double run. I had 3 rods out. I had a double take, almost just a couple seconds apart. I was playing one fish. It wasn't more than 15, 16 pounds. Playing that fish. The other rod goes right away, and I grabbed that because I'm fishing a spot where the current goes right to left and it goes into boulders. So I'm fishing around snags. I grabbed that one, lifted it up, and held it straight up and kind of just tucked it into the back of my waders with the drag loose so that the fish could still go out, but the line was up away from the snags. Played the small fish to the net, got it in the net, put that rod down, grabbed the other one, started playing that one, and my third rod went. Now, here I've just had a triple take. I'm all excited. I'm trying to be careful. And while I'm playing this fish that I had let run, I could feel that it's a good fish. It's a bigger fish, which I needed for the SSF. But then I went over to the pod because I had walked away from it, grabbed the other rod, start playing that fish, and it flashes in front of me, and I see that it was definitely a bigger fish. So I'm fighting one that feels bigger, one that I can see for sure is bigger. So what I ended up doing is just kind of carefully playing the two. The other one was still quite a ways out. The one I had just hooked was in close. Knew that this one was big, so I kind of let this one loose a little bit to just keep playing out in the water up high. And this is the one that I tucked in my waders prior, so I'd already put this kind of on hold. Played the fish I knew was bigger into the net. That one turned out to be just over 25 pounds. When I finally got the one that felt good, that one was only 19 pounds. So you use your judgment with what you can handle. But if you're having an on fire day, just pull one rod. Don't put all 3 out. Fish with 2. I know Nathan himself just recently had a killer session. Oh, I just had a leg cramp. Had an absolutely killer session. My phone's getting dings like crazy in the morning. And he had a butt ton of fish. He went down to 1 rod, couldn't keep the others in. So hopefully that answers your question, Adam. It's a personal ability and ethics thing. If you can handle 2 fish at once and you're confident you can handle 2 fish at once, have at it. Just make sure that you're keeping the fish safe while you do it. But bottom line, if you're on fire and your spot's rocking, you've had a bunch of fish already, never be afraid to just throw one back in the bag. Or if you need to, just go down to 1 rod altogether. Yeah. I've had multiple double runs. I've had a number of triple runs, which that absolutely blows my mind. And a lot of the triple runs end because I'm playing 2 fish and I just never get to the 3rd rod and the fish just drops the hook. Because if you let it sit long enough, they will shake the hook in most cases. But yeah, it just becomes an ability and an ethics thing. If you can handle it and keep the fish safe, do it. If you're worried about the fish being safe or that, it just might be a little bit too much for you, just cut out a couple of rods. Go old school. Go back down to 1 rod and just have a fun session. 334 Outdoors. Good to see you there. Yeah, Nathan's bringing the Carp Spirit boat on our trip. There is also a boat that's provided because we're on an island, so you have to be able to get to the island. So I'm bringing a trolling motor to run that aluminum, like to and from shore, and hopefully go out, do some scouting and stuff. Nathan will have his inflatable, which will be really interesting because I want to see that in action. But yes, absolutely, Nathan, throw the life jacket in there. LP, we should make the life jacket obligatory at the social for people using a boat. Well, we don't have to make it obligatory. That's law. You have to have a life jacket with you in a boat in Ontario. That's just how it works. We can tell people that they have to wear it, but then that it comes down to just simple law. If the law says you have to have it with you and not necessarily be wearing it at all times, that comes down to personal preference. When I'm out in a boat, I like to wear a life jacket when the boat's moving, right? So if I'm going from point A to point B, I want to have that life jacket on, of course. As soon as I'm not moving and I'm just kind of casting around, that life jacket comes off, and I usually have it right beside me because I don't want my movement hindered. That just becomes, again, personal ethics and personal preference. I'm a very strong swimmer. Obviously, if I were to, hit my head or something were to happen to me when I fell in, swimming skills aren't necessarily going to matter. But, people every year, sadly, even wearing their life jacket, go overboard and don't make it. The life jacket is there to help improve your odds of survival if you go overboard. Simple as that. And it's law to have them, but it's not law to wear them. So it's kind of hard to tell people that you have to be wearing something when the law doesn't even say that you have to be wearing it. So you gotta kind of find a fine line in between there. If you run 2 rods, have 2 or more nets. Yeah, I never fish with less than 2 nets. I always have 2 nets on the go. For this trip, I'm actually going to try and dig out a third just to make sure that we have all the nets we need. Probably 2 on the bank, 1 that will stay in the boat the whole time. Because I'm going to be running 3 rods. Just how it's going to be. Three, 4 outdoors. From experience, I have fished 3 rods my whole carping life, and I've had to deal with a brace once or twice, but I have a spot that will produce 30 fish a day on slow days. I switched to 1 rod. Perfect. Like I said, comes down to just personal ability, personal ethics. Yeah, and just, like I mentioned with Nathan having a killer session, I think it was last week. He normally fishes with 2. If it gets hectic, goes down to 1. Okay, I'm glad we can answer that for you, Adam. I know some of the spots that you go into, you can have a lot of multi-fish sessions, especially when you fish with Dave. Dave fishes a lot of spots where you can have multiple fish sessions. Sometimes there's just no need for that 3rd rod. Sometimes it's just too crazy for the 2nd. So, yeah, the more you deal with those scenarios, the more confident you'll be to put 3 out. Like I have spots like the one I mentioned where it's the snags and rocks to the just downstream of the swim. There's a lot of times that I'll go there and only fish 2 rods. During the SSF, I put 3 out because I want to up every chance I have. But just for pleasure fishing, most of the time it's just 2 in that spot. Okay, so 3, 4 outdoors makes a really good point there. And this is something that we actually did if you go back to the days of the Canada Carp Cup. I don't know if it ever made it into the video that Goldie filmed in 2017 or the episodes that Fishing Canada did in 2018 and 2019. We still had the 1 rod rule during those 3 years during the Canadian Carp Cups. But one of the things that most of the anglers did, and I know we did for sure, is when you got 1 rod that you're fishing with, you always had the other one at the ready. So if you find that it's hectic, you're crushing it. This is a really good point, Adam, to keep in mind. If you do pull a rod because it's so hectic, just have it at the ready so that once you get that fish in, get it in the net, that rod can go back out and you can keep the bites going and maximize the window. Because if you've gone like 4 hours with no bites, then you have an hour where you get like 10 fish. You want to maximize on that time frame. So yeah, have that extra ready at all times after you pull it, just in case you need to put it back out, in place of one of the others. LP puts his rods out with giant stringers of boilies on a hair. Yeah, but you're only using like 6 mil boilies, so a giant stringer of boilies to you is like the size of one boilie that every normal person uses. So there's another good point from 334 Outdoors in terms of the life jacket. If it's your own personal boat, it's your own risk, right? When you're on someone else's boat, they're the ones that make the rules. And if you don't like the rules on someone else's boat, you don't go on someone else's boat. Bottom line. Just trying to get caught up on the rest of the comments here. Brits and European guys fish 3 rods because they might catch 3 fish a weekend. That doesn't happen here. It does happen here. There's some times where you only catch 3 fish a weekend. But in most scenarios, fishing here in Canada or fishing in the States, we're going to get a lot of bites. We've had, I can't even tell you how many sessions I've been on where, it's a short session and you catch 20 fish, in like 4 hours. And then you have like a 3 or 4 day session and it's just insanity for like the last 2 days. So you got all 3 rods out and you're struggling to get a bite. And then the last 2 days, it's just boom, 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 boom. You never know what you're going to get into. Cool. Well, you know what? Everybody had some input on that question, as well as the one about the life jacket. That's what this chat is here for. All of us are talking about cool stuff and helping each other out. If anybody else has any more questions, throw them in the chat. Let's all work together and get some cool answers for them that are practical and useful. Because that's fun. It was a really good question, Adam. Thanks for bringing that one up. What else here? I got a few other things here. Tackle bits here. Oh, this is another new piece of kit I've actually been wanting to get for a while. So for those of you who've been kind of following along, you'll remember that I've been talking about, and I've shown you some of the gear that I've been getting that like more like backpack survival kind of gear. The one Tigris chairs that fold up pretty much this size. I've used them on 3 or 4 sessions now. And even though I was on like relatively firm ground, so that I didn't have to worry about it sinking in or anything like that, I like those chairs. The high back version of that one Tigris chair, I really, really like that chair. The other one that's not the high back, just the standard chair, it's a little bit small for me. I'm a little bit too big for that, but it'll be perfect for my son, perfect for an average size person. Dave sits in it just fine, comfortably, when Dave is out fishing with me. So I'm really liking a lot of this real small pack down kit. And this one is something I've been wanting for a while because you can use it for like a shelter of sorts. If you want to just camp under it as a tent, but it's a tarp, but it has all these pegging points all the way around it. And then more across the middle for like if you wanted to do a ridge line from tree to tree and have it set up like this, you could do a ridge line, and it's got other tie-off points for guy lines that come out. This one is 3 meters by 4.5 meters. It actually comes with 6 guy ropes, 6 pegs. It's got 19 attachment points, and it's It's PU coated 210T polyester. There's a lot of spots that I fish where it's a real pain to try and struggle and put an umbrella up. It's bulky to have the umbrella tucked into these rod bags. Something like this I could throw in my rucksack and I can carry it into a spot. And again, just, one ridgeline piece of rope, which I bought some rope for it. Just some paracord. You can buy these from the Chinese sites or from your outdoor supply store. Get some paracord, make a ridgeline, set it up, and you can get a pretty quick shelter with very little effort and almost no space taken up in your gear. This is going on the trip with me as well. My plan with that for the trip is to actually set up a ridgeline over my bivvy so that I can make an extended porch area out in front of my bivvy, just in case it rains or if it's too sunny. I'm not sure how much coverage you get from the trees on the island, but I like the idea of just kind of having this big extended porch out in front of my bivvy where I can sit in my chair and stuff like that, keep some gear out in case it rains, not have to worry about getting soaked. That way I'm not cramped in the bivvy. So that's a new piece of kit right there that I'm quite excited about. Let's see here. $334 Outdoors. How do we make the lake closer so I can get out and carp fish? It's been 3 years. I've had to try and catch bass lately. Oh, Muffin. How do you make the lake closer? You take what you have to do in your everyday stuff and find a way to make that closer to the water, because water doesn't usually move like where you want it to be. You need to go catch some carp, man. It's got to happen. Always done a hammock and tarp for my bank setups. Yeah, I'm not a hammock guy, but that's exactly what this sort of thing is for setting up a shelter over top of a hammock. Obviously you can use it in other ways, but yeah, I think it's going to be really handy for a lot of my fishing. LP, are you going to use a marker pole? I do not have a marker pole. What I have is some big like dumbbell H blocks that are about this big, bright orange H blocks. Probably for the first little bit, I might put those out to get an idea of just how far my spots are. But beyond that, I don't know if I'm necessarily going to be marking a spot and really loading up on any particular spots as much as I might focus on an area. I need to see it. I don't know what the weed growth is going to be like there yet. I know the water, it tapers very slowly, gets into a deeper area, comes up to a big shallow hump that is quite long, and then goes off into the main channel. What we're told is that the water's high for this time of year right now, so we might not have to go out as far. And, for anybody who's curious about the spot we're going to, if you go to the YouTube channel Team Carp, our good buddy Paul Choka, who does the Team Carp YouTube channel, has been featured with many videos on topography as well. If you go back a few years, Paul did a really good video called The Island. It was one of his first videos, and it was a good video, and it gave you a really good look at what that spot kind of had to offer as far as comfort. Some really good quality fish that him and Bill got into. Well, just the other day, a week ago or so, he released The Island Part 2, where he went back with a friend from Germany. They had a much better session. They fished it differently. They got a run. They hopped in the boat, went out to it. They fished very much European style boat fishing right here in Canada off the island. They had an improved hook up to landing rate. They got into some really good fish. So yeah, there's going to be some new experiences that come out of this one. So yeah, I really don't know until I get there and see it. You know, I've studied both videos a couple of times now. I've got a lot of helpful information, I think, in just talking to Paul about the spot without going too deep, because I want to figure out some stuff for myself, and I'm sure Nathan wants to figure things out for himself as well. But I'm somebody who likes to fish a little bit more of a broad area than just a tight spot. There's tons of naturals there, so that's definitely going to be a factor. The question is, being spring, is the weed growth limited? Is there a higher number of crayfish as opposed to the fall when Paul would normally be there? What's the zebra mussel situation like? You know, are the fish coming in shallow, or are they sticking out to that like 5 and 6 meters where everybody else was fishing it? Until we get there, it's hard to say. But yeah, I definitely won't be using a marker pole, but probably some H blocks, at least for the first little bit till I figure some things out. Then it'll probably go to like fishing a more wider space with just bait kind of all over to make the fish move around. So you move back to Alabama and you're not right on the river anymore. It's 90 minutes away. Oh my God. I couldn't do that. The last time I lived, you know, further away, I lived just over 4 hours north of here. And at least where I lived there, I had little lakes everywhere. There was no carp up there, but I could fish for pike in one lake, bass in another lake, speckled trout in another lake trout in another, walleye in another. Like I had variety all around me within, you know, a short bicycle ride in the middle of nowhere. Here, I can walk to the Niagara River in 10 minutes. I can walk to the Welland River in 5. I need to be right near water. I could never live 90 minutes from water, like fishable water. I have to be close. That's 90 minutes is way too long. It would make my brain explode. So in prep for this trip, I didn't bring all of it over here because I still have everything laid out on the big table over there and some on the floor. But my basics tackle box is completely rekitted, reorganized, filled back up. Like all the compartments are all filled back up. My quarter tackle box, like the big tackle box, again, it's all topped up. Why is my forehead itchy? It's all completely loaded up. So basically, I had like bags and bags and bags of like bulk swivels. Like I think that's a pack of 100 large eye swivels right there. I had bags and bags like that, and I just kind of made sure that all the compartments on these tackle boxes were full. Cleaned out all the old packs of hooks and stuff that there was like only 1 or 2. Combined everything, instead of having like 10 different types of hook link, narrowed it all down to just the ones that I actually use. I got my one primary baiting needle there, all the rest of the tools down in here. I'm still missing one of my hook files. That one like pen style hook file I have is one I can't seem to find in any of my kits. So yeah, the last couple evenings after work have been all about getting the tackle boxes set back up. I even started some rig tying. So I got 10 of my rigs right there. I haven't put the beads or the bait screws on yet, and I've not put any anti-tangle sleeves or loops there. It's literally just the hook and the shot at varying heights. Everybody knows I like to fish my pop-ups pretty high. I also have one really long rig over here. It's a tube blowback rig, and that Actually, I'm going to take that one out and show you because I'm using a different hook pattern for that than I normally would. So anti-tangle sleeve, nice long hook link, stiff coated braid. I have a long hair there that I haven't actually tied a loop into yet because I'm not sure if I'm going to be using snowman or just big boilies or what. And it's a tube blowback. So you can see the way that's tied. The tube is right down. So just a knotless knot, little bit of a kicker there. Line comes around to the tube and then comes straight out right underneath the hook point. You notice the shape of that hook looks very similar to the Nash. Is it the Fang Twister? There are a lot of guys that use that one. It's not a hook that I use, but I am a member of the American Carp Society, and with your membership, you get like a renewal package, just like you would get with your Canadian Carp Society Pro membership. You know, you get your sticker pack, your shirt, stuff like that, and whatever other cool stuff gets thrown in there. So the American Carp Society does the same thing where they send you that little tube, and it's got a bunch of their little tackle bits. There's usually a hat. Last year I got a black beanie. This year I got an orange one. Bunch of stickers, which are a lot of really cool stickers. Actually, I think I have one of them in here. You get some like plastic corn in a glug. Right there. Different colors. And in this year's package, I got this American Carper Talon hooks, size 4. See if I can get away from the glare. You see those? They look like they're Teflon coated. Like they're more of a gray. More of a gray color. Very, very like smooth to the touch. Long straight eye point, but you've got that 90-degree angle right there below the barb that I see the Nash hooks tend to have. And that squared off bottom. I've seen the hook holds that people have using these hooks in different ways. It's not a hook pattern that I typically use, but I'm going to be using my German rig. And then obviously when I use bigger baits, we all know I go to the tube blowback rig. I have my Monster Carp Tackle hooks in this case and the other case because I always do. But I got these. I want to try them. So I'm going to do all my tube blowback rigs on these hooks for this trip, and I'll report back afterwards. What else we got in there before I go into the next couple things here? I can pond hop for bream in farm ponds, but drought killed the good ones. Oh, that sucks. Nathan, you're absolutely right. The funnest part of a big trip is the prep. I've been getting things sorted for weeks now. He's not exaggerating at all. He has totally been getting stuff ready for weeks. Well, we first talked about this trip during the Christmas holidays. Got it booked and everything. And yeah, I don't even think I really started putting any effort into it until the very end of March when I started to order little bits of things that I needed. And it was very casual kind of organizing things. It wasn't until just after my dog passed, right at, I guess she passed on like the last day of March, I think. I waited a week after that. And after she was gone and I was, kind of getting accustomed to not having my dog here anymore, that's when I just kind of switched my brain over and went full into starting to set up. So yeah, I guess we're looking to about 6 weeks or so set up for me, and Nathan's been going at it longer than I have. We're both very much at different stages of our planning. That's apparent. I think mine's a very much more of a chaotic organization, whereas I'm sure Nathan is very meticulous. Just to give you guys a heads up, Bait wise, we've had a lot of texts going back and forth, Nathan and I, about the bait. We think we may have too much bait for 5 days of fishing. It seemed like every time we would get some bait, it would be like, oh, okay, maybe we should order some more, or we should, I ordered this. I threw some more boilies in there. I have one of my big Plano totes. It's like this high, about this long. It's one of the ones I use for when I buy the big bags of bulk corn and stuff, dried corn before preparation. One of those big totes full of boilies, just boilies. I think I have 26 kilos of boilies just by themselves. I have 12 kilos of tiger nuts that actually I have to start prepping tomorrow, because out of the 12 kilos, I think nine or 10 kilos are dried. They have to be soaked and then boiled and prepared. Plus, I have hemp seed that I can prepare. We're going to go with sweet corn instead of maize. I got a lot of bait here already, and Nathan has even more than I do. I think we're good on bait. So yeah, that's been fun. Definitely prep has been a lot of fun. After the island trip, is there a Quebec trip in the making? Full well I want a Quebec trip. This year I've canceled pretty much every other trip that I had in mind. Obviously, this trip is happening because we had it booked early enough, like planned right at Christmas. I made the decision to cancel any other trips that I'm doing just because I've spent too much time the last couple of years neglecting life. So things that I need to get done around the house, I've been putting off. Oh, no, I can't go. I need to maximize my time to go out fishing and get a video done, or I have this trip, or we're doing this with the SSF for the social. And, I've put the things I need to take care of here, and, kind of like in family life, I put that on the back burner for fishing for a little bit too long, and I've not had a balance. I think I mentioned this before, kind of around December, January. Last year was a big struggle because I didn't have any balance. And it kind of knocked me on my ass, and I pretty much didn't fish all summer, very little. So I don't want to run into that scenario again. So I'm going to be deliberate with my sessions, making the videos very carefully when I'm going to do them. And I'm going to be making a much more refined effort to actually, finish. I finished the roof on the addition of my house last year. I have the whole rest of that addition to finish renovating and fix and get ready. There's a ton of jobs that I have to do. I have to redo the roof of my garage, landscaping in the backyard. No more trips this year after this island trip. If the social comes up in the fall and that's something that I can do, then I'll be doing that. I don't want to miss the social, but other trips, not this year. Once everything's in order here, and I can go on a trip and say, oh, you know what, I need to get this done, or I should have done this. I don't want that in my head. I want to go fishing and focus on the fishing. I don't want to go fishing and think about shit. When I get home, I have to dig up my front yard and fix my water main or something like that. Too many of those things. It's going to happen, LP. We've been setting the date and saying we're going to do it since 2016. And I've not been reliable enough to actually make it happen, but it's going to happen because I want it to happen. The more things I can take off my plate to make it easier, the better. So I'm going to try and spend this year taking things off my plate. Okay, let's see here. I don't think it was last year. I think it was the year before where I first started using these. I see a new comment there from a new person in the chat. I'm going to get to that in just a moment. Heli safes. I don't know how many of you guys have used these, but I started using these at the social, the CCS social, not last year, but the year before. Oh man, I really like these. So my rig plan, you saw some of the ones I've tied up. My rig plan overall for the island trip is going to be helicopter rigs and lead clips. Because if it gets really weedy or snaggy, I know that the fish get hung up. I want to be able to make sure that the leads can come off if they need to. And because we're fishing over a hump potentially, might need to drop the lead to get the fish to come up away from the snags. So we'll have to see what happens there. But I'm going in with a heli safe and lead clip approach. That may change to inlines as needed. We'll see. I'm coming prepared for everything. But I did pick up a bunch more heli safes for that. So I did see Craig Cook popped into the chat there. I saw a comment, but it looks like the comment's been removed. So Craig, if you want to throw your question or comment back in there, I don't know if you have to reword it or whatnot, but get your question back in the chat. Let's have a look at that. Nathan Cutler, this will be my first trip using the heli safes. Just rigged them up last week. Are we doing everything the same without knowing it? Actually, I think you were there when I used these for the first time, weren't you? You were. So the first fish at that social, we were all standing right by my pod while Kevin was making his famous coffees. And I had that take at like 7 o'clock in the morning. That was the first fish I had with the heli safes that morning. So yeah, you were right beside me when I tried them out for the first time. I think, and actually Tyler, who was in there, Tyler was there for that session too, that morning. Tyler was using, I think you were using chods as well. When it comes to the St. Lawrence, I've come down to finding that chod rigs really, really work well there. And the last couple of trips I've had, that's what I've stuck with, and that's what did the job. So yeah, that's been good. Well, I'm not sure if Craig Cook is going to put his comment back in there. There it is. Let's see here. First of all, thanks for joining us in the chat, Craig. It's good to see you there. Ever soak your tigers in Coca-Cola and brown sugar? Helps them ferment, gives them a sweet flavor, and brings out the sugars. I have not done that. I've heard of a lot of people doing that, but I've not done it myself. So I have enough. I could do 2 separate containers, some with them soaked in sugar and Coca-Cola, and some of them just as they are, or with some, like I have lots of the DNA liquid from DT Baits. I could soak them in some of that as well. Yeah, I have heard of doing that. I've not tried it myself. So it helps them ferment, eh? So is that, when you say it helps them ferment, is that like part of like making them all gooey when they sit in the pail for a couple of days? Because I heard that that's where the sugars are really coming out and kind of making them all sticky and stuff. If the Coca-Cola and brown sugar is part of that, then I'm definitely going to want to try that. Definitely want to try that. So there's still some Signet stuff available on the Carp Kit website. When I used these heli safes last, I was using the, I think it's 25-pound fluorocarbon as a leader for my chod rigs. I do like fishing my chods naked. I don't tend to want to use them on lead core. I like fishing them naked. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because I like to say the word naked. It's funny. But I knew that I don't have very much of that left. I could probably do 3 rods with that again, but then that'll use up everything I have. This is a 100-meter spool of 40 pound mono snag leader. It's got a 0.55 millimeter diameter line, and it's a really dark color. It's like a nice dark, like greenish gray, greenish brown almost. We've been told that because of the bottom, a lot of gravel, a lot of snags, probably a lot of mussels. Cutoffs are inevitable. If you watch Paul's Island videos, you'll see that seems to be the case. I have lots of mono snag leader. I've got some fluorocarbon snag leader left, and I think I have probably 20 or 30 meters of, more than that, probably 50 or 60 meters of Corda cable lead core in case I need to do that. I also have a couple of packages of Gemini rig tubing. So if I really need to, and I just need that extra protection, I can put some tubing on my line above my lead system. I'm going prepared to fish around those snags and rough bottom. I want to minimize how many fish Nathan and I lose, especially if we start hooking mirrors. And I have a feeling that if I hook a mirror on my rod, I might just tell Nathan to handle it because Nathan needs a mirror. I can go without a mirror. I'm fine with that. The whole trip is to get Nathan a mirror. That's the goal. I just want to drink beer, eat snacks, get Nathan to catch a mirror. I think that sounds like a good time. Okay, we're just after 1 o'clock. I don't know how much longer we're going to go. I do have a 2:30 appointment coming up, but I believe my wife just left with the van. So hopefully she'll be back in time for me to leave and go to my appointment. Nathan, if you're still in there watching, batteries for your bite alarms. I picked these up as just the other day. Again, didn't realize that in the bottom of my bag, I already had lots of these batteries. You guys all know I use the Nash Siren Alarms R3s. They take these weird batteries, and the receiver takes an even weirder battery. But apparently I didn't need to order these either. But when you go on Amazon to get these batteries, you get like 8 of these for like $25. If I went to Canadian Tire and bought one of these, it would be $25. It's stupid. I'll tell anybody that when you got to buy batteries for any of your gear, get it all from Amazon. I always get a good deal for the amount that I need. All my alarms are going to get new batteries. The receiver's going to get brand new batteries. Just a proactive setup. Just did your Delcom batteries, 9-volt lithiums. Nice. For some reason, I thought there was another piece of gear that I wanted to show you, but I might have already packed it into something. I can't see it just in my peripherals, so I'm not sure where I put everything. I'm still getting it sorted out. Basically, the rest of today and all of tomorrow is get as much of this ready as possible for this trip. I got to work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so the evenings are a little bit kind of only so much can get done because I'm going to pass out relatively early. But Thursday is going to be a great day. There's a little bit more to this trip for me as well. I had a niece born during COVID. So I've not actually had the chance to go see her yet. So we're getting it worked out right now. And the nice thing is I get to go visit my niece for the first time on Thursday because I have to drive right through her town to get to where this trip is. So that's kind of a really exciting part where I'm going to be going up early specifically so I can spend a nice visit in the morning with my sister and my niece, and then moving on from there, get a cool trip. And I'm going to be taking my time. I have pretty much most of the day to have a visit. You know, I'm going to be buying my groceries up in nearby town, make sure that I'm, giving to the local economy of where I'm going, not just buying everything here and going up there. Always try to buy as much as I can of what I need locally. So yeah, Thursday is going to be a really good day. I'm super stoked about, visiting my sister and my niece. I'm really, really stoked about spending a couple of days on the island with Nathan. I think we're going to have a great time. I will have my camera gear with me. I want to film the trip in a certain way. It's probably going to be different from the standard kind of vlog style videos I do. Because I don't want to just kind of document every waking moment of what's happening. I want to film it a little bit differently. So there's only certain things that are going to kind of ever see the camera lens. It's more of a just relax and unplug kind of trip. And that's going to be the best part about that. Let's see. Craig Cook. I know of good anglers who leave tigers in a bucket with the lid on in the shed for months. More attractive to the carp when the bait has turned. Big edge. I've heard that as well. So thanks for reminding me of that. That's part of why I'm doing all my tiger nut prep tomorrow. Is I'm gonna be putting it all into soak tonight in a bucket, letting it just kind of sit overnight. Tomorrow, I'm going to boil it and get it more prepared, get them more rehydrated. And then I'm going to seal them up in a pail until it's time to go. And they won't get opened up again until I'm on the island on Thursday evening or late afternoon evening. So very, very helpful tip. So Coca-Cola and brown sugar, and then just let them sit. Appreciate that, Craig. Thanks. Mr. Tim, sorry I was late to the chat. Just wanted to say hi and best of luck on the upcoming trip. Thank you. Really glad you're there, Tim. Great to see you there. We're not going to be going too much longer, but I am glad you're to see you there. You know what we're missing? We're missing Doug. Doug missed another one. I'm sure I'll get a message on Instagram from him later. Me fishing 24/7. Good luck on your trip. Thank you very much. Okay, same with boilies. They are better when they have turned, more attractive than carp. I'm from England, by the way. Okay, so boilie wise, I've never had boilies go like off. I do tend to sit on boilies throughout the season, so I buy all my boilies pretty much in the spring to last most of my season. And I do find that when they start to get that little bit of like white dots and stuff around the outside of them, I guess it's like the sugar starting to come out. It's not a mold or anything. But I find that, the boilies tend to do a little bit better for me when they're like that. I'm assuming it's just the sugars coming out. I will be doing one batch of boilies like pre-prepared in one of my pails. Like one of my bait mixes will be kind of made up on Tuesday night and left to sit until Thursday. So some of the particle, some chopped boilies, probably some tiger nuts, and then some liquids, just to kind of let that soak for the first setup of that first night. That stuff's going to be made a couple days in advance. LP, I'm leaving Portugal next Friday. Do you need any special Euro stock? All of the stuff. I don't know, man. I don't know what you could possibly get there that I can't just kind of order. It's cool. Appreciate that though. But like, okay, if LP's going to Portugal and offer to bring back something, we need to come up with something good for him to bring back. What could LP bring back for us here? Because we'll open that up on a live. That'd be fun. I don't know. If you guys got some suggestions, throw them in the chat. Otherwise, I'll have to think about it and get back to LP on that. That could be interesting. Well, I appreciate all of you being in the chat today. Some great questions. Definitely some great tips, especially from Craig, who we're seeing in the chat now. I'm definitely going to be trying that stuff with the tiger nuts. The white dots are the enzymes leaching out. Okay. Bingo. Bingo, bingo, bingo. I first noticed that back a couple years back when we were doing the Canada Carp Cup, and the main bait I was using back then was the CC Moore live system. One of the best baits I've used. I really, really enjoyed using live system. And I noticed that where, I would have a couple kilos of them for a while. They would get all these white dots on them. And it was like it kicked off way faster when the boilies were like that. So good to know. So now I don't use the nutty baits as much anymore. Obviously, I do have end blend from DT Baits. I burned through all the end blend boilies I have because the fish around here do like them. I have lots of end blend hook baits, but I don't tend to use them that much anymore. I find that the nutty baits work around here, but the way the winter fishing goes for me, that's when I used to use live system, is kind of like late and then through the winter and then early spring. Pretty much all the other DT baits that I use, in particular Superfruit and Cold Water Green Beast, man, they do it for me all year long. So Cold Water Green Beast mixed with Superfruit, maybe a little bit of pineapple or banana boilies kind of thrown in the mix, will do the job all winter long. And then once I get into that warm weather, then I stop using the Cold Water Green Beast as much. I still use it as a hook bait, but not in the mix. And holy crap, does that stuff do the job. Like, when it comes down to it, Superfruit is definitely my favorite boilie for a long time out of a lot of the boilies I've used. But one neat thing for this trip, I think Nathan's bringing some Superfruit for the trip. I have loaded up on Tutti Frutti. So most of the boilies I have are Tutti Frutti. I have some pineapple boilies as well. And I have some peach and orange. Peach and orange hook baits are really good. That 3810 I had a couple years back was on a peach and orange hook bait. And the spot that we've been fishing, Paul and Dave and I, Dave puts a lot of peach and orange boilies in. And if you go back to the start of this live, I mentioned that Dave's been having a couple of really good fish. I don't know when he's going to post the pictures. He's definitely got some footage of it because we're filming each session, like some highlights of each session as they go, to make one big film of this campaign that we're doing that we've mentioned a few times through this spring. But Dave had a couple of like low 20s, a 29 and change, and a 34 the other day. I think on Thursday. A 34, big old belly. It's only 2 pounds off of his PB that he caught like the same time last year. So the peach and orange definitely draws in some big fish. We can say that for sure. So definitely I've loaded up on good boilies, good bait. I think I can't even tell you how many times I've said it. I've never had an issue with DT baits. It's just everything I put out there catches me fish with them. It's not been the case with other brands where some of the flavors just don't do the job. Tyler 420, he can get you a set of Kaizen rods. Is he paying for them, or do I have to pay him back for those? Because you know what? If you want to get me a set of 3 3/4 12-foot Kaizen greens, I'll take them. But I don't want to have to shell out any money for them right now. I gotta fix things on my house, man. That's a good one. Kaizen green. Yeah, get some Kaizen greens in his suitcase somehow and bring them back, deliver them to my front door. Actually, what's up with that, LP? You said before that you wanted to come down this way. I thought you were going to come and fish the river with me. I know it'll be weird, having to be in an area where there's like no French people. So you're going to have to just deal with me. But yeah, you're supposed to come down to the river at some point too. Remember that? We'll do an overnighter or something on the lake off the beach. So there could be some fun fishing down this way. Get me a set of Kaizen greens. We'll fish down here. That was good. All right. What we're going to do is I'm going to wrap this up in just a few minutes so I can get ready to head out for my appointment. If there's any other questions anybody had, I'll definitely do my best to answer them. Or as we have a great community in our chat, we've clearly got people that can answer really good questions in there as well. I appreciate all of you guys, sending the well wishes towards Nathan and I having a good trip. We're definitely going to be focused on making sure we have a safe, fun trip. 2026, 2-week trip, a week in Quebec, 1 week in Niagara. Oh, that could be a cool trip. That could be interesting. We'll touch base on that again at another time. Obviously, I want to go to Quebec. Obviously, I'd love you to fish this area down here. You might not be able to put 2 weeks together. Maybe I have to go up there and do a couple days, and then the next year you come down here or something. We'll figure it out. But I'm going to stick with that. If I'm going to go there, you have to also come here. So we'll make that an official rule as of right now. Think about how many times we've had Will come down here, and he hasn't even fished the river yet. And he only comes here when the weather is like at the absolute worst, and he still caught fish. So if Will can catch fish down this way, I think just about anybody can. Machine Gun, long time no see. Yeah, long time no see. How are you doing? Good to see you in there. I do apologize. We're going to be wrapping this up in a few minutes, but we've had a great community going on in the chat this time. You'll have to kind of look back on what's going on. Some new rods we went over, prep for the trip that's coming up next week. Obviously in June, when we do the live in June, I'm going to want to tell you about the trip, probably before the video would even be close to being edited. Just look at the calendar here, because one thing I want to keep in mind about June. So technically speaking, June's live stream should be on the 8th. Excuse me. On the 15th is carp angling day. So potentially what we'll do is the live stream on the 8th. We'll probably try to be on the bank, because the last one we tried to do on the bank didn't work. I've got a new phone and everything for that. That should be fixed. So yeah, we'll try and do the 8th on the bank, and then the 15th, which is carp angling day, I won't be able to get out till the afternoon because I work that day. So we'll probably do 2 lives back to back, 1 week after the other, which could be a lot of fun, especially if we get into some fish. LP, no, I'm not going to the whirlpool. My ankle couldn't support the 10,000 steps. So here's the thing. It's not 10,000 steps. It is tough. It's hard to get in. It's hard to get in, hard to get out. It is rough terrain. But there's some really good fish to be caught down there. It can be fun. It's some amazing scenery. But if I can take Michael Pilar and Remy Van Oz from KWO down to the whirlpool and make sure that they can see fish swimming right up to their rigs, and they still can't catch down there after 3 tries for the week that they were down here with us. If those top-notch anglers can go down there and not catch, I don't think I'm going to waste time taking you down there, because you won't have a chance. The whirlpool is a great place to catch carp, and we're long overdue to revisit that. The whirlpool carp video we did through the night a couple years back was a hit. People loved that video. Some of the best, most positive kind of feedback has come our way after that video, and there's been talk every year of revisiting that and doing one during the day, so you can really get to see the scenery. Just haven't made the time to do it this summer. I'm really pushing hard for that because I really want to get back down there and get a whirlpool carp. So yeah, I don't think I'm going to push you down there. It's not easy, and I don't want you to get hurt because it is dangerous. Now I'm challenging you to catch one. No, safety isn't worth a fish. Not in that scenario. I know I can carry you out, but I can't carry you and all our gear. So it's probably best not to take you down there. I caught tons of fish at the whirlpool, but it's terrible, especially if you have arthritis. Yeah. I'm just old and fat. So I really struggle to get out of there nowadays. Like, I can remember in my teens and early 20s, I was down there every day during salmon season, get off work, rip down there. I could run up and down those stairs 2-3 times a day. No problem. In fact, there were trips where I would go down the whirlpool stairs, fish the whirlpool in the morning, hike along the gorge, down along the water, through the gorge, all the way down to the glen, fish the glen for the afternoon and evening, climb up at the glen, and then walk back along the road at night to get to my bike or my car, whatever I was taking at the time. And that was easy doing. There was times that I would go down to the whirlpool, fish the morning, come back up, go into town, have lunch, then go back down to the whirlpool for the afternoon. I can't do that anymore. It's tough. But the reason I still make the stupid decision to keep going back there year after year is that the fishing's great for so many different species. If you're interested in bait and want to learn more, why don't you have a listen to Carp Angler Chronicles? They go deep on bait in some episodes. Worth a look. It's also on YouTube. Okay, so it's a YouTube channel, or is it like a Spotify podcast or something like that? If you want to drop a link in there for people, feel free. Is this one that you listen to? Is this one that you're involved in, Craig? Let us know. Before we wrap this up, it'll be neat to check out. Appreciate you throwing the information in there, because there's a lot of anglers in this chat right now. Even though we don't get filled up with an overwhelming number of people, the anglers that are in this chat are good anglers, and anything to learn about bait is going to be useful to all of us. Tim, fishing the whirlpool is on my bucket list. It's worth it, man. It's definitely worth it. And if you're going to be in the area to try it out, definitely I can give you some pointers, because I've fished for a lot of different species down there over the years, and at different times, there's certain spots that are just on fire. I'm definitely going to go back down there this summer, though. Okay, well, we've hit the hour and a half mark. I hate to wrap this up because we're having a good chat. It's going good, but I do have an appointment I need to get to, and I still have the rest of this stuff to get ready for the trip. Yeah, machine gun, that definitely happens with more than just the trout down there. Yes, there's tons of muskie in the Niagara River, both the upper and the lower. My biggest muskie ever has come out of the whirlpool, actually. The biggest muskie I ever hooked and lost also was in the whirlpool. Yeah, the Niagara River is like the gem of Ontario fishing. That's why I've lived in this region since 1987. I left once and regretted it and came back after 2 years. And just this whole region is just such a mecca for multi-species angling. But the Niagara River is just, it's something very, very special that really most people just don't understand how spectacular it is. And then they get a taste of it and they go two ways. One way is fishing this river's a lot of work. I don't want to keep doing this every time. Or, holy crap, you put in a lot of work, but the effort is so worth it. There's two types of anglers to fish the river. Okay, I kind of saw your message there before it was retracted, Craig. You said that it was just a podcast. Carp Angler Chronicles. I'll definitely look that up. So it looks like, yeah, I've got a link on another page there. I'll check it out. We'll see what I think of it, and then I can always share it on the Facebook page or maybe in our community tab on right here on the YouTube channel. But thanks for sending the information in there. Thank you all for being part of the chat and hanging out for the May live stream. I'm glad it went relatively smooth. Got to show off some new stuff. We got to talk about the trip. June 8th, yes, that should be the next live, and I'm going to do my best. I got a new phone. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that June 8th we do our live on the bank. That's the plan. Very well might likely have my son with me, since the last time we did a live back in March on the bank, it fell apart. He was with us. He actually had more bites than I did that day, and we had a lot of fun on the bank. But now that the weather's better, I think him and I need to go out and just schmack a couple donkeys, have some big fish. We might go, hard to say where we're going to be, but we're going to try and do a live from the bank on June 8th. Then Carp Angling Day is on June 15th, so I'm going to try and have something special happen on that day. But for now, thank you all for joining in. Craig, great to see you in there. Thanks for joining in and throwing some information in there for us. Really, really appreciate it. Tim, great to see you. Machine Gun, good to have you back. LP, Tyler, Nathan. I know we saw Dave in there. 334 Outdoors. Adam, Dave Newman, who was out fishing, today and was doing well. All of you, Grimy Fishing. Great to see every one of you is in the chat today. Really appreciate it. It's been a great chat. I really enjoyed this one. Again, I would go longer, but I got stuff to do, and Nathan and I have a trip to get ready for. So we will see you all again on June 8th. In the meantime, I'm also going to be working on getting some new videos put together, because when I come back from the trip, I have the rest of the week off, and I'm going to get as much fishing as I can in for the Canadian Carp Society's Spring SSF. So if you are a member of the Canadian Carp Society and you're not sure if you want to do the SSF, we have a lot of people now, I think 25 or 26 anglers who have signed up for the solo division. We only have 4 teams listed in the teams division. I am in one of the teams in the teams division, and I challenge any of you who are members, make a team, get in the teams division. Let's go head to head. It'll be a lot of fun. So I'm going to be fishing the SSF. I'm going to be trying to shoot a couple of neat videos to come out soon as well. It's going to be a busy next 2 weeks. So all of you, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Great to see you all here. Lots more coming. Dave and I have a huge list to work on this year for stuff we want to accomplish. Really appreciate all of you supporting the channel. I'm having so much fun doing it, and a rejuvenated sense of fun since last year. So again, great to see you all. We will see you all in here, hopefully from the bank on the 8th of June. Take care to all of you. Cheers.